Have you ever paused to really look at ancient art and notice those halos, the nimbus, or those luminous auras around certain figures? It always makes me wonder, what were they really seeing? Or maybe sensing?
That's a perfect springboard for our deep dive today. It really hints at this profound central theme, these invisible forces. They're not just around us, they're powerfully within us too.
Right.
And our sources suggest they influence, well, everything, our health, the planet itself.
Exactly. So we're jumping into a really captivating exploration here. We're drawing from all sorts of sources: ancient wisdom, esoteric traditions, even some early science attempts. It's amazing how consistent these ideas pop up, isn't it?
It really is. And our mission today is to try and unpack what these emanations, these vibrations actually are. How do our thoughts, our emotions shape them? And importantly, what does all this mean for us, for our well-being, and maybe even the world?
Yeah, and we should say this stuff might challenge some conventional thinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're exploring the ideas as presented in the material, letting them speak for themselves.
Okay, let's unpack this, because it really starts with those ancient roots. This idea of the aura, of seeing the invisible.
Indeed. This concept of spiritual emanations is pretty much universal. You see the halos in Western art, sure. But it was perhaps even more developed symbolically in Eastern cultures. Japanese Buddhism, for example, different halos weren't just decoration. They actually signified specific levels of spiritual progress.
Wow, like a visual language almost.
Exactly. A language conveying inner states.
And it wasn't just art, was it? There was this deep belief that a life force literally radiated from people.
That's right. Even into the 19th century, you had the mesmerists in Europe. They studied magnetic forces, hypnosis.
Right, I've heard of them.
They talked about an invisible perspiration or even a luminous fur-like radiance coming off the body.
Okay, luminous fur-like radiance. That's quite a description.
It is, and here's where it gets really interesting. This wasn't purely a mystical idea. It started to edge into early science.
How so?
Well, take Dr. Walter Kilner. Early 20th century, Liverpool. He was actually pioneering the study of human energy fields. He even developed special screens.
Screens to see this energy.
Yeah, screens designed to help diagnose disease by looking at these emanation fields from the body, the subtle energy radiating from us.
That's fascinating. So this goes way back.
Oh, yeah. Before Kilner, you had figures like Paracelsus, the Renaissance physician, alchemist. He wrote about these things. And even the ancient Greeks and Latins, they had fables about mysterious spheres of light around living creatures.
Or maybe it's not such a huge leap for modern science to think of humans as, centers of radiating energy, like an electrical device, sort of.
Right. The really intriguing part is that until maybe more recently, we haven't had a mainstream science really focused on measuring or understanding this specific kind of human energy field.
Which brings us to psychology, maybe.
Yeah.
And its connection to these vibrations.
Exactly. Modern psychology talks about complexes. Now, these aren't just seen as mental fixations. They're described as vibrant, energetic patterns within us.
Energetic patterns?
Yeah, almost like self-sustaining energy forms, and are constantly being nourished by our attitudes, our ways of thinking.
So, okay, if a complex is an energetic thing, how did someone like Paracelsus, way back then, grasp that our emotions, our mental attitudes, could literally mold these energies? What was his insight?
Paracelsus had this really groundbreaking idea that thoughts and feelings, they aren't just fleeting things, they are creators. Creators of energy. He saw that constructive thoughts and destructive thoughts, they each have their own distinct vibrational rates, like different frequencies.
Okay, wow. That really shifts how you think about just thinking.
It does. And it raises a crucial point about health, doesn't it?
Absolutely. If constructive thoughts are building something positive, then our overall well-being must be deeply tied to our mental attitude. We say that all the time, but maybe this is the how.
Precisely. Is the difference between being cheerful and being gloomy really just a difference in vibration? Our sources suggest fundamentally, yes.
So one is constructive, life-affirming. The other is destructive, depleting.
That's the idea. And it's a profound, maybe even slightly unsettling thought. Your internal world, your deepest thoughts, your emotions, they're never truly private in an energetic sense.
They're broadcasting.
Constantly broadcasting, shaping your interactions, even how you see yourself. Every internal conversation becomes an energetic act.
Okay, so if thoughts are vibrations, it doesn't seem like such a huge leap to some medieval beliefs then, does it?
Not at all. They took it even further. They suggested destructive attitudes could literally create monsters.
Monsters? You mean like actual demons?
Well, the sources speculate that this might be the real mystery of demonism, that maybe demons aren't external entities in the way we usually think, but powerful thought forms. Or intense emotional patterns sustained by our own constant negative attitudes.
That's a heavy thought. So our own negativity amplified.
Amplified and sustained by repetition, yes. And if you connect that idea to something like bewitchment...
Right, historically.
Psychology talks about fixations, complexes, attitudes becoming obsessional through repetition. These patterns exercise powerful, energy-driven influences. And the moral quality of that influence, well, it comes directly from the moral quality of the vibration we set up inside ourselves.
So the demons we might fear could actually be echoes of our own unaddressed stuff.
Intensified echoes, potentially, yeah.
Okay, speaking of patterns, it's amazing when you think about visible forms like a snowflake or frost on a window, how they crystallize around energy. What does that imply about reality itself?
It implies that there must be invisible structures, right? Underlying blueprints, maybe what we sometimes call archetypes. They have to exist for the visible forms to emerge.
An underlying blueprint.
Exactly. And we see this mirrored in ourselves, too. Think about Lavater, the 18th century physiognomist.
He studied faces and character, right?
Right. He observed how our faces constantly shift expressions based on our internal moods, reactions to pleasure, displeasure, happiness, misery. The nervous system is communicating these internal vibrations straight to our facial patterns, even our posture.
So our face is a mirror. Then maybe each of us is like an alchemical bottle containing this fluid energy formula.
That's a powerful analogy used in the source material. This formula is made up of all our attitudes, feelings, opinions, beliefs, disbeliefs, the whole mix.
And it sounds volatile, like our inner state can flip from radiant to dark, dull, and poisonous really quickly based on our moods.
Almost instantaneously sometimes, yeah. And this is where that idea of no secrets in the universe really hits home.
Meaning?
Meaning our vibratory patterns are just there, whether we consciously perceive them or not. And they affect us, they affect our relationships, how we relate even to ourselves, subtly but powerfully.
Okay, this leads to another really compelling concept you mentioned earlier, the private smog belt.
Right, and it's presented not just as a metaphor.
Not just a metaphor.
No, the sources describe it as a potential energetic reality. An etheric field, a subtle energy body around us that literally gets polluted when we constantly pour negativity into it.
Like psychic pollution.
Exactly. And while our physical bodies have ways to neutralize some negativity if there's too much destructive energy, the idea is that it leads to a polluted magnetic field, psychic toxicity.
Psychic toxicity, like metabolic waste for the mind.
That's a good way to put it. And just like physical toxins make the body sick, this psychic toxicity can apparently sicken our thoughts and emotions, leading to mental and emotional ailments that these sources suggest could be even more debilitating than physical ones.
Wow. Okay, so this isn't just about us as individuals then. Does this whole magnetic field radiating energy thing, does it extend beyond humans? To plants, minerals?
Absolutely. The sources say so. Paracelsus, for instance, he even conceived of a great magnetic medicine.
Magnetic medicine.
Based on different compounds, elements. He believed they carried specific healing vibrations. Also thought nutrition wasn't just about the physical stuff in food.
But the energy.
The energies, the vibrations locked within the food elements, which is why he thought cooking or letting food stand too long could reduce its value, the vital energy diminishes.
That makes a strange kind of sense. And Pythagoras, the ancient Greek thinker, he took this even further, like even the shape of a cube has a vibration.
He did. He believed that geometry itself wasn't just inert, a cube, a sphere, any form it possesses a distinct vibratory factor. For him, everything, animate or inanimate, was fundamentally living energy.
So the whole physical world is like a symphony of energy forms.
That's the view. And a key part of this was the ancient belief about music. That music actually creates vibratory patterns in space.
Creating patterns? Like what?
Like great symbolic designs, unfolding flowers, intricate snowflakes. They believed sound produced color, form, mathematical relationships. Think about octaves. They exist in sound, sure, but they believed similar principles applied to color, the elements, even biological divisions.
Everything connected through vibration.
A vast, interrelated vibratory mystery. That was the perspective.
That's beautiful, actually. So if music can create forms, how does this vibratory chemistry play out in something less tangible like human relationships? That instant click or clash you sometimes feel.
Precisely, those mysterious attractions, repulsions, the instinctive feelings we get about people.
Yeah.
Our sources suggest that's an invisible chemistry. Energies meeting, mingling, uniting, separating. It's like our internal subjective laboratory.
Our internal lab.
Where the conditioned energies of our attitudes are constantly forming patterns. These patterns survive, they persist, and often they complicate our lives, our thinking, how we live.
Okay, so if our inner life is this lab, constantly churning out these energy patterns, how do we clean it up? The sources mention Eastern philosophies, yoga, tantra, Vedanta, Buddhism. They talk about purification, right?
That's central. Purifying one's magnetic field, cleansing the inner life to achieve a kind of freedom or emancipation.
But what if we try to rush it or do it without really preparing?
That's a critical warning. Mystics like Jakob Böhme and Buddhist philosophy, too, they warn about the stress that happens when you try to be the old self and the new self at the same time.
Unclear.
Huge conflict. Trying to bring in higher vibratory rates too fast, without clearing out the mental and emotional clutter first, it can actually lead to sickness, not enlightenment.
Like overloading a circuit.
Exactly. Sending too much current over a wire, as one source puts it, burns it out.
That makes a lot of sense. So discipline, like in Zen or Taoism or Plato's catharsis, it's not just about control, it's purification.
Fundamentally, yes. Purification. You can't really grow spiritually if you're still clinging tightly to old faults, old prejudices. It creates this state of internal combustion, or maybe even like having multiple personalities warring inside you.
Internal combustion. Wow. Okay, this leads us to another really fascinating concept, the magic mirror, or astral light. What is that?
It's described as this luminous, subtle sphere around each person, a strange, unreal, but apparent sovereignty. A world that is essentially anything we want it to be, anything we believe it to be.
Anything we believe it to be. That sounds dangerous.
Which is why the ancients apparently called it the blind alley of the mystics. The constant danger of self-delusion is huge.
So this mirror, it lets you believe what you want, experience what you demand, see what you expect. It shapes reality to match your hopes and fears.
That's the idea presented. If you're consumed by fear, for instance, the mirror clouds over with demoniacal forms. It shows you a reflection of your inner hell. If you're an egotist...
You see your own vainglory reflected back.
Exactly. All your self-estimation confirmed.
Okay, let's scale that up. If individuals have this magic mirror, what happens when you have billions of people projecting their own strongly held, often dogmatic views?
You get what the source calls attitudinism, a world jam-packed with intense, shifting, dogmatic opinions.
Leading to conflict.
Infinite conflict, no common ground on what's virtue, what's truth, what's wisdom. Because in this collective magic mirror, everyone sees their own purpose, their own truth reflected back as ultimate reality. It leads to profound fragmentation.
That's a powerful image and kind of unsettling for right now. So what's the antidote, individually?
The ancient warning, echoed in these sources, is to develop a center of integrity, a core philosophy of life that isn't shaken by every passing opinion, a conviction that's deeper than just your personal thinking.
Integrity as the anchor.
Yes, because self-deceit, the sources argue, stems from a lack of self-discipline. A disciplined person, one with integrity, won't demand the impossible from the mirror, and therefore won't see the impossible reflected back.
So without that purification, that inner work to get rid of the unworthy stuff, truth can't really take root.
It seems not. Any learning, any knowledge we gain gets corrupted by our existing prejudices. It just leads to more confusion and, ironically, potentially more sickness.
Okay, so if our individual thoughts can create this psychic smog around us, what about the planet? The sources mention a correlation between human destructiveness, wars, persecutions, and natural disasters.
It's a compelling, if controversial, idea presented, that the Earth itself can become psychically toxic.
The Earth as a vibratory entity, like a giant organism with its own energy field.
That's the perspective offered. It has its own energy field, its own spectrum. So just like we worry about polluting the physical atmosphere,
we should maybe worry about polluting the psychic atmosphere.
With the collective negative thoughts and emotions of billions of people, likened, yes, to a global psychic smog.
And this ties back to ancient ideas too, like the Kali Yuga.
Exactly. Plato's cycles, the Indian concept of the Kali Yuga, an age of spiritual darkness. If the psychic field is polluted, it means humans are constantly breathing in, receiving impure vibratory energies for their own survival.
That puts a different spin on disease then.
It does. The observation is that diseases often recede when world conditions improve, better nutrition, hygiene, etc. This suggests maybe it's not just the pathogen, but a broader societal weakness or imbalance that allows epidemics to take hold.
So the takeaway is, we cannot live badly and do well.
That's the stark conclusion drawn. A valid relationship between human conduct and so-called natural disasters.
But it's not all bleak, right? There's also the positive side.
Absolutely. Humanity has always seemed to have an awareness and intuition about the cleansing power of positive collective intention. Prayer, meditation, focusing together on peace, on the common good.
Where many are gathered together in a common thought.
This thought has power. It intensifies the blessings, the good vibrations. That's the belief.
And this bad vibration stuff, it's not inherently evil.
No, not evil in itself. The sources describe it more like a misuse, an abuse, a false use of energy, like a musical discord. It's out of harmony.
Because the core is peace.
The core of human nature, it suggests, is peace. Agitation is seen as superficial, mostly linked to external pressures, material desires. When we relax away from those pressures, the inner storm can actually quiet down.
So, quieting the storm, how do we actively build the good stuff, the positive patterns, and reduce the negative ones?
It really hinges on relaxing the pressure of false values. The intense competitive drive of purely material existence. Letting that go allows the inner storms to calm.
And then?
Then the idea is every constructive emotion, every positive thought becomes the foundation for a more beautiful, harmonious pattern inside you. It's apparently possible to build magnificent thought forms, emotion forms, to create an inner life that's like paradisio.
Dante's realm of beauty.
Between earth and heaven, yeah. A state of inner harmony and beauty.
So that clarifies the difference again. Complexes are the problematic, false attitudes. Convictions are the constructive ones, guiding us toward higher values.
And we're always being directed by one or the other. If the negative dominates, conditions just get worse, internally and maybe externally too.
Okay, what about influence between people? This idea of magnetic fields going to war, or psychic attack.
Well, we know energy seems to linger. Psychometry, getting info from objects by touch, suggests vibratory energy is left behind.
And like primitive magic used.
Right. But the sources stress that a lot of that historical diabolism, or perceived psychic attack, was often driven more by the victim's own fear and internal breakdown, rather than an overwhelming external force.
So our own energy field, the auric egg, it's meant to be protective.
Like a complete defensive mechanism. The shining armor of Christian from Pilgrim's Progress is used as an analogy.
Okay.
And crucially, the point is made that suffering from psychic malpractice is practically impossible unless the individual has somehow destroyed their own defenses. By letting their energy fields run down, perhaps through neglect or negative living, or by engaging in wrong action, which weakens their integrity.
So personal responsibility is key here. Blaming external invasions might miss the point.
It seems so. Such invasions are presented as only possible if one's own proper psychic defenses have not been restored. The problem lies primarily in one's own weakness or lack of internal organization, not necessarily some super powerful external evil.
But we are constantly swimming in vibrations, right? From stars, sounds, other people's thoughts.
We are a sea of vibration. But the amazing thing is, our natural structure is said to provide a wonderful protective mechanism.
How does it work?
These external vibrations apparently do not stop unless we capture them by setting up polarities for them in ourselves.
Raining.
Meaning, if you embody selfishness, you create a kind of magnet for selfishness from the outside. If you harbor fear, you attract fearful energies. But if you're disciplined, centered,
they just pass through.
They pass through without finding a hook, without affecting you. That's the ideal.
So at the end of the day, we have to be the alchemist of our own inner life.
Or the mystic chemist, yes. Profound responsibility. Just like we learned physical laws to survive in the world, we need to learn these psychic laws to be happy, well-adjusted, internally sound.
Transforming the base patterns into pure ones.
Exactly. Cultivating discriminations, insight, creative interests, constructive outlets, keeping that psychic life happy, normal, growing, beautiful.
It sounds like psychic gardening.
That's a perfect analogy used in the material. Plant seeds of psychic good, and nature, the universe, whatever you call it, will nourish them. But you have to guard against the weeds, neglect, negative attitudes that choke out the good growth.
And if we do that cultivation properly.
The potential result is described as creating magnificent archetypal forms within ourselves, symphonic in sound, glorious in color, and perfectly mathematical and orderly in design.
Wow. So these are the laws.
These are presented as the laws governing this situation. Keep the rules keep you. Break them, you face the consequences. True for our inner life just as much as our outer one.
So, reflecting on all this, what does it really mean for you listening right now? We've gone from ancient art to psychic smog, from personal thoughts to planetary health.
We've seen how your internal world, your thoughts, feelings, attitudes might be creating these vibratory patterns, shaping your reality, your defenses, your connections.
So the final thought to maybe sit with is this. If your most private thoughts and emotions are constantly broadcasting a unique vibratory signal, what kind of signal are you sending out right now?
And perhaps, what might that signal be attracting back into your life and into the world around you? It's worth reflecting on how these ancient insights might apply practically in your own daily experience. Maybe just observing your own attitudes and their subtle effects. What does this all mean for you?